Welcome to Curated by Culture. I'm your curator, Cassandra. I said welcome, but welcome back. This is season two. I'm excited. I'm here. I'm distracted. I'm excited. I'm here. If you are coming back, I am now on YouTube. That is exciting for me because if you know me, you know this is not my thing. But here I am because why not, right? Um, Oh my goodness, so much to talk about. I'm excited to be back actually. Shockingly for me, because if you know me, a lot of this isn't my thing, but here I am. And whew, so much has happened. I feel like I have to catch up, like I have to catch you guys up on my life. But that's not what we're here for. If you're new here last season, or if you're old here, either way, last season we talked a lot about growth, healing, self-awareness. I talked about parenting a lot because I am a mom, if you don't know that, to an adult child, but still a mom. Friendships, relationships. We talked about Venus and Mars, not Venus versus Mars, which is men and women. We talked about a lot of things: friendships, relationships, intimacy. Um, there's so much connection, which is at the core of everything, is having these connections and stuff. And I talked a lot about that. And this season I want to do more of it. I want to do more of it. I have some guests coming on. They've been pre-aligned, lined up, whatever the word is there. They've been lined up, maybe pre-aligned too. Maybe God has divine intervention. But they've lined up. I have some guests ready to go. And I'm excited. I'm excited about season two. I'm trying to get used to this camera in my face, but we'll see how that works. Um, Let me turn my phone's on do not disturb so that I don't get distracted that way too. Um, I'm here. Welcome back. Welcome. I'm your curator. If you're new here, I am your conversation curator. I love having conversations. It's funny, ironically enough. I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was saying how I was talking about the podcast, or whatever, and he's like, "You always say." I was having this conversation. He says, and I said, I think people won't believe me when I say that because I always say it, but I'm always having conversation. And it's true. I love talking to people. I'm a conversationalist. I love to have conversations. I love to hear people's stories. One of my friends calls me nosy. But I'm not nosy. I'm talking to you to hear more about you because I want to get to know you. If you're closed off and you don't want to share, that's cool. But that's just who I am. That's how I am. That's how I've always been. I love to get to know people, hear their life stories. And I also love to have great conversations about things that are going on in the world, which is why I created Curated by Culture, because it's really just conversations that are, that we're having out in the world. We're just either having them silently or not having them enough. And so that's how this came to be. But I'm always having conversations. And that's what prompted me to create this podcast, amongst other things. There are a few reasons, and, I'll get into them as the season goes. But I'm here. I'm going to work on not saying so often, because I know last season I said it a lot and I would catch myself saying it. So I'm going to work on that. I'm not editing these podcasts anymore, so you just want to get it real and raw from me. This is what it is. Yeah, and I said anyway, here I am and I'm excited. I had to take some time off to be alone. I have notes in front of me because everybody was like, "Oh, you should take notes and you should," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." I don't read from notes. I'm like an all over the place type of person. I mean, I'll stay on topic, but each topic might have other topics that work with them, right? Um, so I had to take time off. Sorry, see, I just rambled. I had to take time off to regroup in a way because you've been living on this planet for the last couple of years. It's been a little crazy, and so I had been going and going and going for a while, but I had to take some time off to be alone. And I can't, that's kind of the topic that I want to have today, is this conversation I want to have today, should I say, is just like talking about spending time alone, and what it can do for you as a person. I know a lot of people who say, "I can't do this by myself, I can't do that by myself." I'm always testing people to see, like, I'll say, "Have you ever gone out to eat by yourself?" Or, "Can you go to the movies by yourself?" And a lot of people, believe it or not, can't. A lot of people feel funny doing those things alone. And that's so wild to me because something that we're not taught enough is the first person, I mean, obviously, other than God, but the first human being that we're supposed to love is ourselves. And because I love myself so much, I'm like, oh no, I need time alone. I need time away from people. I need time away, I need time not thinking and talking and working and doing. I need time not doing so I can be. We are human beings. And so I needed time alone. And so I did that. And in that time, I came up with a lot of topics for this season. So, but this being the most important of them is really self love. A lot of people, I think, social media in a way has us tricked into believing like buying yourself something or doing this and do, and there those things are self-love, so I don't want to take away from that. Like, it is very important to love yourself and do things for yourself. I mean, everybody that knows me knows I buy myself lavish birthday gifts, lavish Christmas gifts. I buy myself things because I am my most like the most important person for to me is me. I can't be anything to anybody else if I don't love myself. And so um in that thought process, I think a lot about the people who have never really like spent time alone, and how important it is to your heart, but to your brain and to your the people that love you. It's necessary. And I'm not telling you have to get on a plane and go away, though that's my favorite way to do it. Like, I will get on a plane, go someplace where there's no Wi-Fi, and be there for 3-4 days just so that I could spend time by myself. um peace, meditating, talking to God, walking with God, listening to God, and also recharging myself. Like, we're constantly giving, we're constantly moving. We need that. I've actually, randomly and already off topic, I've actually adopted a new process for me. And I mean, obviously it can only work for me because it's my life is my life and I set it up this way. But I work 3 weeks and then I'm off one now. So, like, every month, 3 weeks of work, and because I do work on Saturdays and Sundays sometimes, because it's just what my business is calling for. And then I'm off one week. Um, and how that helps me is to recharge and be my best self. I can give to my clients more that way. I can be more that way. I can give to my family that way. I can give to my daughter more that way. Because if I'm always stressed and every time she calls me, she's like, Mommy, like, so anyway, off topic again. But I think that the one thing we miss the most in self-care and self-love is that we need time alone. We need quiet time. Anytime I think about something for somebody, randomly lately, I've been getting like, I'll be listening to a song, and I'm going to get back into Feel Your Feelings because you know how much I love for people to feel their feelings. I am a feeler. But if I hear a song and it makes me feel something for somebody, I'll text them the song and say, and I don't know how I got off topic again. I'll text them the song and say, hey, listen to this song when you can be, in a place where you have peace. Excuse me. In a place where you have peace. And I always say in the flesh and in the spirit. And by that I mean a place where it's quiet and you can be alone. Not distracted by other people walking in or something happening, but also when you're at peace in the spirit, meaning when, internally you can go and just be by yourself. Just, let out a sigh, a deep sigh, and be by yourself. And that those times are the times that I can hear the most, when I am at peace in the flesh and in the spirit, which is why for me it requires for me to travel. If for you, you can be at home and be at peace, that's great too. I can do it at home. Like, I meditate every morning for an hour. I used to meditate for like 20 minutes. Now I'm able to meditate for an hour, and it really helps me to set my intentions for the day, for the week, if it's, something like I'm trying to decide on something, or I have something big going on. But that is a very important part of self-care, self-love that we miss. We're always so, oh, I'm going to the spa. Well, in the spa, you might, like, okay, sure, you might be getting a great, treatment. The person might be talking to you, but you'll be distracted because you're not there by yourself, right? So even in meditation, like people say, oh, I meditate with my boyfriend. I'm like, oh, you know, it's not for me. And I'm not telling you can't meditate with somebody, because you can. And if you're in a relationship, I think sometimes it's good to meditate together as long as your intentions are the same and your values line up, right? But in self-care and self-love, I think we need to learn to choose ourselves. We don't choose ourselves enough. And this is for everybody, including myself. For a long time, I didn't choose myself. It took me until my 40s to really learn what it meant to love myself. Because I thought all these years I was loving myself. I love myself. Oh, and like I said, I always buy myself lavish gifts and things like that. And that's love. But to truly learn to love yourself is to be fully aware and fully in line with who you are. And that takes a lot of spiritual digging, a lot of work, and tapping into your higher self. And I've talked about this a lot last season, just that higher self, that person that is in you, right? The Bible says, greater is he who is in you than he who is in the world. Find that person. In those alone times, you have to search for that person. Sometimes that requires some truth that you don't want to share with people. Like a lot of the times when I'm having these types of conversations, and I'll say that, like, it's always the same, and I always go, there is a truth that you don't want to share, and that's okay. Like, everybody's got secrets, but that truth that you don't want to share could be the thing that's holding you back, or it could be the thing that's keeping you from fully being your best self. Acknowledge it. Even if it's dark and ugly, acknowledge it and offer yourself grace. A lot of times you know, what happens to us is we were living out of survival mode. We were living in survival mode, should I say. We were living in survival mode, and things happen and we did things, and it was like, I need this, I need that, and this is what I'm doing. Da, 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 da. And I'm I'm here to tell you that is my story too. Like, I've for a long time lived in survival mode, and it wasn't until one day something was just like, stop. Not something, God, but I'm saying something. God was like, stop. I need you to live your truth. I need you to be okay with it. I need you to offer yourself grace. I need you to offer yourself forgiveness, and come. And here I am now, where I'm in a place, I mean, peace is my priority. I don't care who it is. I don't care what the situation is. Peace is my priority. And I've learned how to silence out all that noise. And I think what it does for you, for your brain, is so important. Like, that clarity, we all need it. It's part of healing. Like, if you have a conversation with me, I'm always going to say, please see a therapist, talk to a therapist, find a therapist. Like, I'm not a therapist, but I have done a lot of work on myself that a therapist couldn't have done for me. I do have a therapist. I do understand that. I do have a therapist, because your therapist is going to help you uncover some of those truths too. But a lot of times, and these are conversations I've had with people, a lot of times people will be like, well, I don't want to tell my therapist this because I'm worried they might judge me. And I get that. Trust me, I get it. But you do yourself a disservice if you don't go in there truthful. So what you can do to continue your healing, to continue your growth, is to talk to God about it. And that's the truth. Like, talk to God about it. God knows, he already knows, you know what I mean? But a lot of times we hold on to those things because we think, well, I don't want anybody else. And God knows. God already knows, right? So really, you're just talking about it to let go of it. Let go of the pain, let go of the hurt. Address your problems too, like, in that time of alone, think about your problems, talk about them. I talk about things out loud when I'm by myself, and I think people, if everybody was ever listening, be like, this woman crazy. But I talk out loud to myself, but to God mostly. And I believe I'm having a conversation with him all the time. So there's that. But I think, self-love, self-care is one of the biggest components of healing. um as we all take a journey on healing. And I've been talking about healing a lot lately, especially healing as an adult in at 45, but even if you're in your 30s or whatever age, I think the lesson, the most important thing, I don't want to say the lesson, the most important thing I've been really strong about in the healing process and in telling people about healing and why we need to heal. We need to heal so our children don't have to endure what we endured. Like, let me say that again. We need to heal so that our children don't have to endure what we endured. We endured a lot. A lot of us did, for many, many years, because we didn't know that things were happening. We didn't know that we were broken. We didn't know that this was happening. We were just operating in survival mode. And I think that uh, in that operating in survival mode, a lot of our traumas, a lot of the things that we went to, we pass off to our children, and our children are now sort of operating in survival mode. Not all of them, so I'm not here to judge you. Your children are wonderful. Like my niece and my niece and nephew Ben and Olivia are like, they are children. I love that. I love that they're children, but their parents are whole and healthy, and I want that for all our future generations. Like, I'm already off topic here, but I mean, it's all healing. It's all the same. I'm gonna get back to the idea of being by yourself. I have to remember that. What am I talking? What's the topic? But conversations I'm always having is about with a lot of my friends who do very well. It's like, generational wealth. And I've been saying this, like, it's great to be able to leave our kids money. Like, I'm so ecstatic that in my family I'll be the first, but my me and my siblings, should I say, we'll be the ones to start generational wealth in our family. However, we skip past the part of generational health. Our children need to be mentally healthy and whole and sound and emotionally healthy, emotionally intelligent, emotionally aware, just the same. So we need to focus, as a culture, but we need to focus on those things just the same. Like, yes, let's talk about making money, but I know multimillionaires who are emotionally unhealthy, and all the money in the world won't make a difference for them. So we need to have more conversations about that type of stuff. And a lot of that, and that's why I'm always talking about healing and all that stuff. But a lot of that stuff comes from within. Like, it starts with you. Last season, I on one of the episodes, I talked about how we're the problem, we're the problem, cause, and solution. We're the problem, we're also the solution. We are in our own ways all the time, and we don't even realize it because we get up and we do this. Like, we get up and we operate and out of dysfunction sometimes, and it's like, oh, it works, it's been working, but is it working? Are you living God's best? Like, I'm not here to judge anybody. Like, whatever you're doing, if it makes you happy, if it works for you, then continue. But is it God's best for you? I know what God's best for me is, and I am now living that, and I will continue to grow and build and live from that. But for a long time it was like, well, I have everything I need. So I don't know. It wasn't God's best for me. God wanted me to emotionally become aware of things. He wanted me internally heal myself. Be the person I created you to be, and be that person out loud. So here I am, back off topic. Oh, I was talking about spending time alone. Yeah. So, in spending time alone, what we're able to do is hear and understand, and maybe set intentions. Like, I recently, from my last time alone, was just these things that I had on my plate that I knew I needed to handle and needed to tackle. And I kept saying, well, I can't do this because I can't do this because I can't do this. And then in that time alone, I was like, boom, I learned and I understood why I kept saying that. And then literally I turned around and I did it. It was that simple. But time alone is like, it's like, a palate cleanser for your brain, for your mind, for your heart, for your soul. And I think everyone needs it. I think moms need it, and dads need it, kids need it sometimes. Like, I think I was a kid who would sit in the corner and just draw and color. I love anything art related. I've always been that person. I love all the arts too, like music. I played the piano. As an adult, I started learning the violin. Like, there's so many little things that like, that require you to focus and spend time alone. But truly, truly, truly taking time from the world to be by yourself. And when I say that, I mean disconnect from social media. Again, off topic, but we love to share every single second of every single moment of our lives on social media. And I get it. I am not from that era. I grew up without cell phones. We grew up without a lot. Like the internet didn't come to, I think I was in my 20s. Like we used to like dial up AOL. How old was I? I think I was in my 20s. Anyway, I didn't grow up with that stuff. So for me, turning that off is like so easy, but I know for a lot of people it's not. And I know that when we're distraught and we're going through things and we really, that those are the moments that we need to take that time to be alone. The first place we run to is social media. Let me see, I know people who are like, oh well, I was looking to see like what I'm going through, like my depression, and this person is doing this, and so I'm like, that what works for one is not going to work for another. You need to understand yourself so you know how to take care of yourself in that way. And understanding yourself comes from spending time alone. A lot of people don't really know who they are, and and it kind of holds you back in a way, but it's important for clarity. Like I said, for mental clarity, for emotional clarity, for spiritual clarity, it is important that you take time and get to know yourself. And so the one thing I would say is, as you're listening, if you're on a healing journey, if you're starting your healing journey, if you want to start your healing journey, start there. And maybe your meditation practice could be it. Maybe every morning, if you can find a quiet place, take 5 minutes and silence out any outside noises, that you can. If you need meditation sound waves and things like that, if you need the sound, that's a good place to start. But in that time alone, just start there. Start reflecting, start thinking, start praying. That is the most important part. Pray. I start every day with prayer. I start with a thank you. I think we're not gracious enough anymore. I think we're just like, oh, just wake up and just let me look at my phone and see who texts me. Let me see who DM me. Let me see what's happening on Instagram. I know people who wake up and the first thing they look at is Instagram, and that's wild to me. But that's I'm like I'm not judging you. It's just not. It's just crazy. Like we don't we don't have an attitude of gratitude anymore. Where you woke up this morning, say thank you. And then after you say thank you, before anybody can come and say, hey, mom, this, hey, dad, that, hey, this, or whatever the case might be, take time to meditate, to pray, and to set your intentions and see how your day goes. It could be 5 minutes. It could be, for me, it's an hour. It can be whatever it is you need it to be. But I think it's so important in this process of growth and healing that we understand who we are before we try to help anybody else, before we try to fix anything else, before we try to make millions of dollars. We need to understand who we are. And that's my first episode. Season 2, episode 1. That was listen, this is one take. I'm so proud of myself for this. So usually I end with a hot topic, and wow, I just said I wanted to talk about something and I already forgot. The way my brain is like so funny sometimes. I have so many thoughts. I did want to talk about something. Oh my goodness. I give up. The music distracted me. I'm listening to jazz, but then it was like an ensemble thing that just popped up, and now I'm so distracted. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. I guess what I will say is this, and I'll end with this. No hot topic, unfortunately, because it was just in my brain, like something I was thinking about, and then it just went out. So maybe it wasn't that good. Thank you, God. Um, I will say this: as human beings on this planet, we owe it to each other to be more kind to each other. If you listen to what I just said, you heard me say, like, I've been through things. I am so mindful of how I treat people these days because we are all going through something. We are all experiencing something in life, and it might not, maybe my first world problems aren't as harsh as another person's, But at the end of the day, they're still my problems and they still hurt me. So I think we owe it to each other to be a little bit more kind. I've just seen so much, um, I don't want to say negativity, just so much meanness out there lately. I was scrolling through social media. I guess this is a hot topic. I was on Instagram and I was scrolling through, and I was watching a young man belittle, I say belittle, be mean, whatever, make fun of a young woman who had a weave in her hair. I don't know if you've seen this clip, but he was like, his friends were like, oh, she's bad, she's cute or whatever, but her weave obviously, um, I guess there's something in weave glue that smells bad, and he was doing the most, and his friends were recording. And he thought it was funny, and I think to myself, like, was that necessary to record and post? Like, it's so mean to see other people record something and post it to hurt another person's feelings. Like, her face was in the camera too, which is what made it worse. And I just felt so bad because it was like, what was the purpose of that? And they were young, and I get it because I was young one time. I think I might have been a little mean in high school. No, not high school. I was a little mean in elementary school. I don't think I was mean in high school. Oh, Lord, forgive me, Father. Um, I mean, we can all be mean in some way, you know what I mean, at some point. But I think in this day and age, we need to offer each other more grace, more kindness, more. It's just such a lack of empathy in the world, and it bothers me so much. I don't know why it bothers me, but it really does bother me that people just don't have that same feeling of, if it was me, this is how I would want to be treated. There you go. That's how I'm going to end it. Always think to yourself in every single situation, if this was me and I was the person who was going through this, how would I want to be treated? I don't know. Anyway, season 2. Thank you for joining me. If this is your first time listening to me, I promise it'll get better. I just like sat down and started rambling because I was like, oh, I have to start podcasting again. And so here I am. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you will subscribe to my YouTube channel, share these things with people. This is episode 1. So much more to come. I promise you it's going to get just better and better. And thank you again. If you've I think I'm supposed to mention these things, though they do not in any shape, way, or form drive any of this for me. But follow me on Instagram. It's CXC. I don't know it. Let me not lie to you. It is CXE underscore the podcast, curated by culture, the podcast, CXE underscore. Or if you want to email me, I think it's CXE podcast at gmail.com. If you want to join, I'm always happy to have conversations. I love, love, love talking to people. So please, like, if you're open and willing to join, we don't have to record it. Like, I started this YouTube for the sake of starting a YouTube, but if you don't want to record, we don't have to. But I'm here. I want to have conversations. I'm back. And that's it. I'm done. Thank you.